the sequence. I was remembering today one of the teachings in the Yoga Sutras that says to avert danger before it arises. And this is really an important stage in your progress as a meditator and as a yoga practitioner, and just overall in learning to live a life of contentment or santosha. What the yogis mean by averting danger before it arises is, now that we've been meditating and recognizing and labeling our thought patterns and our thought process, and that's what you really do when you practice self-observation, because remember, meditation has 8 levels to it, and before you get to that wonderful stage of meditative absorption or samadhi, there's a lot of practice that needs to be done in order to clear the mind, because you've probably noticed if you've tried to do that, you can't just take out the trash. It's not that easy. There's a process to it. So first of all, what we have to do is identify what in the mind is trash, or what the yogis say in a much more kindly manner is that it's just not useful. So as you're sitting for meditation, and you may begin right now, you can close your eyes, assume the position, sit up nice and straight, and just begin to observe your thoughts. And if you are watching this at the end of a busy day, you'll notice that the first thing that the mind loves to do is just throw off litter. And I call that mind litter, because the mind spins all day on problems and thoughts and issues and tasks of the day and of your life. So let it do that for a while, and you're just sitting there watching it. It's as though you kind of have the remote control to your mind, and you are mentally just making notes of what is it that my mind is focusing or spinning on today. As you quietly observe in a non-judgmental manner, the only judgment you're making is that it's useful or not useful. So pretty soon, if you practice this regularly, you will begin to notice that there are some particular things that your mind likes to dwell on. Maybe fears or fantasies. Everything in there is going to be an aversion or an attraction, right? And so again, you are going to start seeing some patterns. And what you're going to eventually notice, especially if you're journaling, is that these patterns are going to begin to reveal to you which thoughts lead to unhappiness, which ones create stress, which ones borrow trouble or worry when it might not even be necessary. Worry is never useful. It doesn't solve anything. It most of the time just creates problems that don't exist. And you realize that all those problems are somewhere in the future or somewhere in the past, and neither of those exist. The only thing that really exists, the only truth, is this present moment, the current moment right now, this present moment. So as you begin to label those thoughts and just let them flick away, here's a nice little practice that I love to do. So I'm going to close my eyes and join you. I imagine as I'm breathing, as I'm inhaling my yoga breath, that full, beautiful, long inhalation, I'm igniting a light within me. And as I'm exhaling, I'm clearing away anything that might be clouding that beautiful light, including my thoughts. And then I begin again on the next breath. And that light will eventually, after 3 or 4 and more breaths, will become brighter and brighter until it just surrounds you. And this light becomes like a brilliant atmosphere around you. And anything that comes in from outside that tries to penetrate it, that's not pure love and light, will just fry the minute it enters that atmosphere. Even if it comes or wells up from inside of you, as soon as it enters that atmosphere of bright light of the mind, it just fries. And the only thing that can exist around this beautiful light atmosphere of you is love and light. Feed the light with every breath and release anything that might be disturbing or blocking that light with every exhalation. Remember, our vow is to be content, is to be even happy or eventually even blissful. The feeling within your heart should be light and playful, like a child, like an innocent child. You should hit the ground running every day with the excitement for what the day has to bring you, and not weighed down by obligations or tasks. Yes, it's fine to have obligations and tasks, but we should be able to look forward to them. And this will come eventually when we're able to see things in their true perspective, and when we can remove the weight of worry and fear off of those thoughts, off of those obligations. Now, raise your hands to your heart, press your hands together, and bow your head. You may set your own individual intention for this class. So an intention is a higher vibration that you set for yourself to dedicate your practice to, because then every movement that you perform in this next hour will be fueled by that higher intentions. And an intention is reached merely by setting it. Isn't that beautiful? But always lower the hands, softly lift the chin and open the eyes. So we've been practicing a lot of arm and hand and wrist movements to get our hands ready to maybe put a little more weight on them. So let's see how that would go today. Let's come up to all fours onto your mat. And again, fingertips, knuckle roots, heel of the hand, go down just lightly so that I can evenly press them down. And then I'm going to sit back. My toes are curled under. Knees are hip distance, but look at the length between my hands and my knees. Look at the length I'm allowing my torso to be in. Notice if my knees are close and I try to sit back, it doesn't allow me to arch my back. When I take a long stance, I can really get a good crouching cat stretch. Take a moment to just grip or claw the floor, as I call it, and stretch. Mindfully lift the shoulders toward the fingertips on the inhalation, keeping that forward movement, sit back. Exhale fully. Do it again. Inhale, draw the shoulders forward. Exhale, keep that motion as you sit back. Hold the bowstring in the back, in the spine. Come up and walk the hands over to the right. Reach through the left arm. I drop myself down onto my right forearm so that I can get a long stretch in the left side. And then come back up. I'm going to turn this way so that you can watch me walk the other way. And reach through the right arm. You don't need to turn, of course. And then come back to center. You're going to stretch back into crouching kitten. Now, we're going to put a little more weight on those hands. I want you to know that there's going to be a tendency to bend the arms. The elbows are going to jut out this way. So one of the ways that you can prevent this is to sort of rotate the inner elbow forward, inner deltoid forward. So you keep lifting it this way. It wants to drop or droop. The elbow wants to turn out because the triceps are a little stronger and the heel of the hand likes to dig in. So everything you do is going to be to resist that action. Now, you're going to come up, lift the sits bones. This is crouching cat. Widen the stance, widen the knees, and really tilt your butt up toward the ceiling. Keep drawing the shoulders forward and release the neck. Breathe. Deep inhalation, still lengthening the torso. Deep exhalation, really rooting down into the legs. Now, lower the knees down. And just sit back a moment and evaluate. Where do you feel that? I feel a flush all the way down my back. By the way, if you have knee issues and you can't sit back, you can put a block between your shins and sit like this. And then your knees don't take so much pressure. If that's still too much, then you just sit back any way you can. But the goal is, of course, to keep the heart lifted, retain this shoulder loop so that you don't slump. Ignite all the muscles in the back. Ready? Let's come forward again, and let's try to take it all the way into downward facing dog. Start at the fingertip pads, stretch the fingers, then lightly put the heel of the hand down. Curl the toes under, sit back, crouching kitten. Keep the arms and hands active. Hike the sitting bones, release the neck. Widen the feet if you want. Keep arching the back. Check yourself in the mirror if you need to. Now, you're going to slowly ground through the right heel. And if your heel doesn't come down, if it's like that, that's fine. You don't want to overstretch. But eventually, you want to give yourself the challenge of trying to get your heels down. So right here, my heels are almost down. If I barely walk them in, they go down. Barely walk them back, they don't quite go down. So here's what has to happen. I have to lengthen my torso in order for them to come down. My feet are together, but you can keep your feet wide. That's a little easier. This time, take your knees wide, feet flat, sit back into child's pose, and just release. I make a nice pillow for my head. Come back up. Fingertips, knuckle ridges, heel of the hand, evenly pressing down. Now, I'm going to give you another little challenge, and I'm going to turn this way so that you can see it. You're going to put your hands on the block this way, all right? Let me turn it up. My thumb is going to be on the bottom edge of the block, and my hands, my index fingers are holding in as the other fingers are fanned out. I'm going to make the elbows parallel, right? Then we're going to put that block down, and I'm going to bring my elbows down. Again, they're going to want to go wide, and you're going to notice here the inner wrist, the index finger knuckle come up, or the hands bunch up. So again, hold that block. Use it as a frame to plant your hands. Roll the inner wrists down. Squeeze in with the index fingers and fan out all the other fingers. And really keep those forearms parallel. If you are a man or have broader shoulders, you might use 2 blocks side by side to give yourself a broader stance. But at any rate, it should be center of the wrist to the center of the shoulder. So now, all you're going to do is by squeezing into that block, lift and straighten your arms without allowing them to do this, or without going one at a time. You're going to try to lift and lower, and lift and lower. That's really strengthening. I'm trying to keep my head free. And then come down. Again, you can sit back and just let that sort of take, let it soak in. You're going to feel that in the upper back muscles, but hopefully not in the trapezius muscles. So if you're having trouble and you are unable to straighten and lower your elbows without misaligning, one thing you can do is take your yoga belt, make a loop with it, and then loop it around, belt it around above the elbows so that you can't pull your elbows apart. You kind of cinch them in there, the same distance. And then come down and try. You can pause the video and come down and try that. And if you're ready to move on, now we're going to try it on a little different level. Holding the block, just like we did before, pulling the bow, torso's nice and long, toes curled under. Let's straighten the arms, move into crouching cat. It's going to feel like you have a really close grip with your hands. That's okay. Watch the placement of your hands. Stretch it back, release the head. Now, heels come down one at a time into down dog. You can have your feet wide or close. Now we're going to try this again. Elbows down and then straight. This is really hard. So you may want to just come back down to your knees. That's okay. I'm using my upper back muscles and really focusing on making a nice deep groove into the socket. And then come back down and release. So if you had to stay on your knees and not go to that next level, that is absolutely fine. When I teach to all levels. So I assume that there's one person that finds the pose relatively easy and is ready to move on. That doesn't mean it has to be you. You may be the other one at the other end of the spectrum who says, I'm just learning, or I'm just healing, or not today. That is your choice, and aren't you glad nobody's there looking at you and pressuring you? Certainly not me. So now you feel that in the shoulders. Now let's try another little thing I call dolphin pose. We're going to come back up, and you may feel free to remove your block. But this just gives you a nice gauge for alignment. I look at parallel lines. It gives me something to squeeze into and to really roll my inner wrists and hands down toward. Now, I'm going to come up like this. In this pose, it's less likely that your heels will come down because that's a big stretch. Now, I'm just going to broaden and melt. Broaden and melt. Look how subtle that is. I'm pulling the shoulder blades apart and together. Notice it's not moving my head like that. I'm holding my neck extended. Broaden, melt. Broaden, melt. And then come back down. By the way, this is doable right here. You can practice it right there. And then come back up. And you're probably thinking right now, wow, I am really feeling that in my upper back and shoulder muscles. That's just fine. That means you're doing the work. If you're feeling it in your neck muscles or in your trapezius muscles, you might want to work on your form, come down to the previous level. So now, are you ready to move on? Place the hands. Crouching kitten to crouching cat to down dog. Take your time and breathe. Notice that the poses are molded by the breath. You don't really muscle into them. You breathe into them. The poses are never static. They move ecstatically. Now try this. Can you come up on your tiptoes, put a little more weight on your hands without sinking into the wrists? Pull the heels back down. Try it again. Come up. It feels like you're going to press a handstand. Now take a little baby step forward. It feels like you're just going to kick up and do a handstand. Release your neck. Now, come up onto the knuckle ridges. I know this is hard. You can do one hand at a time. Take another baby step forward. Come up onto your fingertips. You can bend your knees. That's fine. But you're trying not to round. You're trying to keep the bow pulled. Sit way back. Grab on with your feet. Remember that little twisty motion where you take a big toe, push it down, and isometrically pull it apart. Your hands are going to float up. Arch the back. Take your gaze up the wall. Can you feel these muscles? Good. Now, come up to standing. Without pushing the hips forward, extend into a little baby back bend. And then bring the hands back to the heart, to Namaste Mudra. Take a nice few cleansing breaths, returning to that higher intention that you set for class. And remember, there's brightness all around us. Your energy being is nothing but pure love and light. Now, step to the front of the mat, grip the mat with the feet, twist the feet just isometrically to create a deep grounding and tension through the shins so that you can tilt the pelvis and arch the back. When you straighten the legs, the tendency is to push the hips forward. Be mindful of that and check yourself. So we start here in order to create a bowspring so that when you kind of slow motion dive off the diving board, you retain the bow. Stretch up through the right arm. Stretch up through the left arm. Stretch through the right arm again. I'm going to turn toward you. and come to the side. You can stay right where you are. Breathe from the right waist all the way down, root. And I'm sorry I'm not mirroring for you. I'll try to do that next time. So you'll be going opposite of me. Come back up. Clasp the wrist. Open the ribs. Ground through the left leg and foot and just arc over to the side. I'm just opening up all the ribs. Keep breathing. And then inhale, come back up. And a big swan dive forward. Grip with the feet and just check yourself here. Did you dive down like that and round the back? Or do you still have that bowspring pulled? Bring your hands all the way to the floor. Feel free to use a block if you need it, or 2 blocks if you need them. If you're really tight here, that's okay. You can also put your hands here. Keep the feet active. Keep them grounding and doing that twisty motion as you try to stretch the hamstrings up. Pull the little window of the hamstrings so that it really heats up and gives you that achy stretch feeling, not a burn, not a stabbing feeling, that little achy heat. Now release the head down. Inhale, you're going to reverse swan dive all the way up. Baby back bend. Close the pose. Hands to the heart. Exhale, release. Inhale, pull the bow as you slow motion dive up. Keep the arch as you bow forward. Inhale, half up, pull the bow, open the hamstrings, and then release the head down. Inhale, reverse swan dive. And close, hands to the heart. We're going to add a movement, release. Inhale, up. Little baby back bend. Maybe you can go just a little more. Just be mindful of not overachieving lest you push your hips forward like that. You can see that jams my low back. You really want to get the sits bones back. Then keeping that going to your back bend. Big swan dive forward. Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, half up. You can come clear up if you have to pull the bow. And now you're going to step the left foot back so you're in a right lunge. Bring the left knee down. Notice the angle. From here, you're going to reach around. So if you're not able to just lift this foot up like that, you may be on your kneecap and you need to get off of it. If this hurts your knees, don't do it. But this stays at a square and you should be able to just lift and reach. Keep the foot really active. I'm opening up the left shoulder. Now, you're going to try to switch. Grab with the other hand, and then you can release, and you can twist. These are all options. Now, reverse out of it. Position the hands, lift into your lunge. Left hand goes down, back to crouching cat, right hand goes down. Downward facing dog. Stretch it out. Let the head be nice and free. Come up to the tiptoes. Claw the floor. Sweep the right leg up. Come up onto the right fingertips so that you can step forward into a lunge. Reposition the back leg because you're going to come up into water pump pose. That means the energy has to stand strong through the right leg and lift through the left. Notice when I lifted it, I didn't hop. You can even look back, make sure your feet are active, and you can position your hands anywhere you need to. Close the pose, pull the bow, activate the feet, float the arms up. Little baby back bend on the inhale. Exhaling, close the pose. Release. Inhale, pull the bow, baby back bend. Come forward. Inhale, half up. Now step back with the right foot. Lunge. Lower the right leg. Check your alignment. You want to have an angle here. You don't want to be here. So look at my knee. I'm on my knee. I'm on the head of my femur. On my kneecap, not good. Head of the femur is good. Reach back, and you may say, I can't find it. But don't go like this to find it, because see what you do to your alignment? You can also use a belt. You can wrap a belt here. I am not pulling my leg in. I'm pulling it away, and look at my toes. They are really active. Now I'm going to pull it in, back my butt up, grab my foot with the other hand, then I can release. Then you can twist, optional. Keep breathing. It's hard to breathe through a twist, I know. Release. Come right back out. Fingers down. Lunge. You're going to plant your right hand, claw the floor. Lift up. Notice my left fingertips are still high. This gives me room. This gives me clearance. Left heel's down, left hand down. Paddle it out. Both heels down. Now, balls of the feet. If you want to kick up into a handstand, feel free to. Left leg up. Come forward. Now, gather all of your awareness so that you can ground through the left leg and lightly lift the right one. Look back. It has a tendency to wave around there. Close the pose. Heel toe your feet wide. Clasp behind you using a belt, a strap, or if you're flexible, you can just clasp like this. Lift your arms. If you need to, come into the squat, take your knees wide, arch the back, and come back into it. Now, squat again. Release, touch the floor, and just let the arms float up. Now you're in a wide stance in hallelujah pose. Bring the hands to the heart, step the feet together. How's that feeling? That's a pretty intense shoulder class. It worked every muscle from your toes to the crown of your head to your fingertips. You used your core muscles. And I just want to kind of add a little deeper hip stretch in there for today that will also bring awareness to your balancing, your ability to balance on one leg. Because I'm going to start adding in some of the standing poses now, and I just want you to be able to feel confident. Standing on just your left leg, pick the heel up and pull the foot over with just the big toe down, and then reposition the ball of the foot down. So you see what I did? Nothing's touching but my toe, and I'm pulling it over. It's like if this was my foot, I'd be pulling my toe over like that, because the bunion starts creating. This toe starts to drift. So that's a good bunion fixer. Once I get the toe straight ahead, the whole ball of the foot goes down. And then you're going to try this on the other side. Big toe down. Pull it open. Put the ball of the foot down, then the heel down. Now my feet are really gripping. I'm going to go back to the first side again. Lift the heel, left toe down, put the ball of the foot down, heel down. And I'm even dragging it back and activating that hamstring way up where it attaches to the glute. If you drag it back isometrically while arching the back, show you to the side. If you do this, you'll feel a hardness there, not the softness. If it's mushy there, the hamstring isn't really engaged. You with me? So now, you're going to put that down. This time, you're going to come up, cross the left over the right. The right over the left. The ball of the right foot is on the floor, not the heel. I turn to the side. Ball of the foot is on the floor, not the heel. Bend the knees deeply and squeeze the shins together. Pull the bow and float the hands up. Really squeeze, and it's okay to wobble. You'll feel that more on the left side. And then just come up. And you can add the Garudasana or eagle arms if you want. Right leg now, left heel comes up, cross it over, and float the arms up. So eagle arms are when you double cross, right? It's a great shoulder stretch. But I kind of want you to just focus more on the action of the shins. This teaches you the squeezing in powerful actions of the shins stabilizing so that you can open the pelvis, tilt it, and pull the bow. That's what I want you to feel. And then come back. Whew. Shake the legs out. One more little pose, and then we're going to do something very nice. Back to the left side. Position the foot powerfully. Lift the right heel. Float the arms up. You can do cactus or just reach in a nice Y. Now you're slowly, this looks like the Karate Kid, doesn't it? You're slowly going to cross the ankle on top of the knee. Look at how my feet are working. I'm pulling the bow. Yes, I'm wobbling. That's okay. Keep pushing through the ball of the foot. And you're going to try to come down. That's okay if you fell. It's okay if you're too wobbling. It's okay if you don't make it to the floor. But you're going to try. Most people can't go here without rounding. So feel free to walk down a wall. Keep this point, this ball of the big toe, keep it really active. That's the key to this pose. And then you're going to come up. See how wobbly I am? I love it because that makes my foot work and it makes it so strong. That's what you need, strong arches. Your feet have been in tennis shoes or worse yet, high heels all day. All right, other side. So right foot grips. Remember to get that toe straight ahead. Left heel comes up. pull the bow. Let me do this one to the side. Float the arms up. Slowly lift this leg. Don't go too fast. Don't fling and don't hurl. Stick the butt out. Use your glute muscles. Slowly come down. Key is length in the torso. So if I had blocks here, I might be up here. Or if I had a wall, I might be here. That's okay. You just go at your own pace and try it. Come up and down. Either way, you're working the back muscles. You're really concentrating on waking up all the feet, not just the muscles, but the neuro pathways and all the nerve endings in the feet. All those little mitochondria are now going, we're awake, we're communicating, and that's what you want. Shake it out. Now, let's just take a nice wide stance, outer hip distance, feet parallel straight ahead. You're gonna take the knees as wide as the ankles. Don't do that. And don't uproot the inner feet. You may have to pull your toes open. So I'm not sitting down yet. I'm actually sitting back, lifting my sits bones. Then you're going to gradually try to get your butt down. So here's a little clue. You may have to put something under your heels if they come up. If this hurts your knees, you can even sit on a ball, one of those big balls I showed you in class 1. That's how I learned to do a squat without hurting myself. You can even go here. But the key is to keep the big toes straight ahead, the feet parallel, and the heels down. And eventually, you'll be able to come down even further and even further. This is a hard one for our culture. And then just all the way down to the floor. Other countries do that. It's how they use the restroom. Now, arch the back. Keep the back arched. Head and shoulders go down. Let the palms turn up and just relax without losing this wonderful arch. Roll to the left hip and slide the right forearm under there and come back. I love this shoulder stretch. Put the other arm above the head. Now, release. Switch sides. Roll to the right, left arm underneath you. Release. Now, you can put the block in between your shins or not, but keep your feet active and your back arched. Hands in cactus pose. You're just going to twist like a little tick-tock. I'm rolling across right across my sacrum. I'm using my core muscles to stop me, but if I wasn't talking, I'd be breathing. Exhaling over. Inhaling up, coming a little further each time. Exhaling over. When I go to the right, my left shoulder has to work to stay down. This is really good for your shoulders and for this pectoral muscle right here where it ties in, that tight muscle there, where it ties into the head of the arm bone. Go a little further. You're also using your core, your intercostal muscles. Next time, keeping your feet active, come all the way over. Relax the legs down to the floor. Now, can you turn your torso in the opposite direction. Can you get both shoulders evenly down? And still breathe. Beautiful. Inhale the knees up. Exhale them to the left or the other side. Keeping the feet active, relax the legs. You see, the feet tell the spine what to do. So I know if I'm working my foot, I'm also keeping the arch in the spine. And then lengthen and twist. Twist the other way. You'll feel these ribs trying to roll toward the floor. That feels really good on my back. And inhale to come up. Release the block. Feet down. Now, I'm going to reach up and grab both my heels, come into happy baby pose. You can do one at a time if you're really tight. You can start here, outer spiral the leg, and then try to lift the heel up over it, if that helps you. Because this takes a pretty open back and some pretty open hips. And sometimes I like to rock back and forth again. Yes, my waist is on the floor, but I'm still trying to pull it off. I'm still trying to pull the bow. And if you're ferociously flexible, you can try to straighten one leg and then the other. And you might even try to straighten them both. Keep breathing. Put the feet together and clasp them. The whole feet together. Bring them toward your face. This is more of a back stretch. Release, take them straight up, arms straight out, arch to pull the bow. Pull the waistline off the floor. Look at my feet. They're still talking, signaling the spine. And slowly take them back down, pushing from the core through the balls of the feet. When you get to the floor, take your feet wide and just let them relax apart. Take the arms down close to the side and then tuck the shoulder blades under so they're flat on the floor to open the heart and lungs. Keep the throat and neck open. You're welcome to put a neck roll in here. Let the fingers relax. Stay there, and I'll just give you a little more guidance for Shavasana, because it is a meditation. Allow the breath to become more and more shallow. Make sure the lips are sealed, but the teeth are apart. The tongue is away from the roof of the mouth. The root of the tongue is very relaxed. This releases all of the sinal passages and opens the ears, broadens the cheeks, even relaxes the orbit of the eye. All of the muscles around the eyebrows, and the temple, and the forehead. When the mouth and the face and the eyes are this relaxed, the little corners turn up at the mouth and eyes. The face's natural relaxation expression is that of serenity. It should feel now so relaxed and so peaceful that you could not possibly make a frown or even an expression. Notice how beautifully relaxed the face is. And now just allow that lovely sense of relaxation to flow from the base of the skull all the way down the spine. And every vertebra it passes sends a signal to the corresponding limbs, shoulders, arms, hands, the torso, the front and back body, hips and pelvis, the butt, the legs, the feet, toes. Just relax. The breath now will become more and more shallow as you float away on a beautiful cloud of serenity. And know that you can remain here as long as you want. This is your time. This is your space. I'm going to sign off now, but you have an absolutely beautiful evening or day. And blessings to you for another fabulous class. Congratulations and namaste.